Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here once again, and I am here today to review Civil War. Not Captain America Civil War, just Civil War in general. Before I get into the movie, I'd like to point out that I did not really watch trailers for this movie. I did not really pay attention to the marketing very much, except for, there were a couple of pictures that I saw of the main cast. And I saw this really cool piece of marketing where they showed the United States, and they showed how all the different states would split off into these factions. And I thought that was pretty cool, because it was like a little bit of homework that you could look at and speculate about it before watching the movie, and yeah. So I'm going to review the movie, I'm going to review the movie without spoiling anything, and then I'm going to give spoilers, and I'm going to, probably go on a little bit of a rant page. It won't be that bad of a rant page, it'll just be a mini rant page, kind of like this movie, so... See, I'm so, anxious because I never do these kinds of reviews where I don't spoil anything. I'm always just like, oh yeah, that character died. Oh yeah, and those two characters got together, and they had sex. And then they went to that one place, and they did that, and I'm just, completely, and I'll just put spoilers in the title, But not with this movie. With this movie, it's going to be, regular reviews, I guess. So this movie, right off the bat, I would say that this movie is a big mixed bag. Because on one hand, a lot of the movie is very boring and very bland and not suspenseful at all. Nothing really happens. But then there's these little squirts. There are these little, squirts throughout the movie of, little things happening. And then the movie ends on, a big squirt. I know that sounds peculiar, but, it's true. Most of the movie is very, how should I say it, lame, because you're seeing these characters, these journalist characters, and honestly, one of the biggest issues of this movie is that you don't really get a sense of what's going on in this war. You don't get a sense of, there's even points where they're like, oh, we don't even know what side we're on. We're just, there's so many points where I was like, okay, who are these people? Who are these people? Everything just kind of blends together, and it just kind of feels like generic post-apocalypse show. This movie felt like it could have had The Walking Dead title on it, and if you put a couple of zombies in the movie, you could have called this movie The Walking Dead political Civil War pre-show edition or something. This could have just been added into the show's lore, and I wouldn't have noticed at all, because that's a lot of the movie is, these characters, they're traveling around like they do on The Walking Dead, and they're just kind of meeting different people and just talking and talking and talking, and yeah. So okay, I'm just thinking about what to say without spoiling things. And the journalists, too, I just don't know what they're doing, because they do work for, I think that they said who they worked for. I can't remember, though. But the journalists, it almost feels like they're taking photographs as for, a hobby, because we never hear from their boss. In a lot of journalism movies, there's always that point where you see, the journalists getting picked apart by their boss, and he's like, go take pictures. In All the President's Men, constantly you'd have scenes where those two journalists would be talking to their bosses back at the office. And in this movie, it just kind of feels like they're just, everyone else around the United States is fighting in a civil war. And then you have these journalists who are, such NPCs that all they can do is, take pictures and shit. It's like a fetish for them or something. Because, You never see any time in the movie where the journalists do something impactful. You never see any, there's never a point in the movie where journalists do something where it's like, yeah, that's going to mean something to people in the U.S. Like, it's just, the whole movie is like these guys who are just such NPCs that they just can't give it up. So they just got to go around taking pictures. I mean, Kirsten Dunst, she practically looks like a robot the entire movie. Like, and it's for a purpose. It's to show that she's really torn apart by this war. And she's got this face where she makes the same face the entire movie. And basically, the only character development that you get in this movie is that the littler girl, the one from Bad Times at the El Royale, which, by the way, that movie's my favorite movie of 2018. Like, I really love that movie. Haven't seen her in anything since, so it was kind of hot. Her character development is basically, at the beginning of the movie, she's like a normal girl, and at the end of the movie, she's got the same look that Kirsten Dunst has in her face. And that's not a spoiler at all. Like, but that's just like, that's her character development. It's like she gets she gets a different face emoji. Like, you know, like how in the video games where you can like customize the characters, you can buy the different facial expressions. Like, that's what it felt like. It felt like this was like a Civil War video game, and this character, like at the end of the game, someone just randomly decided to buy her the Kirsten Dunst facial expression. And so she's and there's lots of funny faces that people make in this movie too. Like, you guys remember how for Festival of the Living Dead, like Ruby Rose, the whole movie, she acted like she was wearing a butt plug. Well, there's lots of times in this movie where like the characters that they go ree, like, you know, in those memes where you see the NPCs screaming. And, well, there's lots of points like that in this movie where the journalists do that. And it's just like, they look like they're getting a 12-incher shoved up inside them and shit. Like, they look like they're taking the machine guns that these soldiers have and just ramming it up themselves, you know? Like, it's really pretty funny. Yeah. In this movie, another thing is the music. The music is really bizarre. The music, there's a couple of songs that work throughout the movie, but for the majority of the movie, I don't know what they were thinking with the music. There's some very strange choices. They don't fit what's going on at all. And all I could think about was Killers of the Flower Moon. It was the exact same type of thing, where they were playing this very casual, I don't even know what you call it, rock music, with these terrible things or just really heavy things going on, and it didn't match at all. Like, especially the opening part where Kirsten Dunst is at this little riot, and she meets the main character, and there's like a random riot going on. You don't even know what's going on there. It's just riots going on in the street. Yeah. As I said, you don't get a sense of anything going on in this war. It's just like complete and utter nonsense. And they're playing this music that's like very casual, like the type of music that you play for like a high school student walking down the hallway in high school. You know what I mean? That's what it felt like. It felt very casual and just nonchalant, the music in this movie. But as I said, I didn't think it was terrible. And so I'm going to talk about some things that I liked as well to balance this out, because I know so far people are probably like, oh, I'm really disappointed. Don't be disappointed, because I would still recommend the film. I would still say, like, you know, maybe at one point we'll get a good Civil War movie, but for now, like, this is okay. Like, this isn't the worst thing I've ever seen. It's nowhere near as bad as some of the bad movies we've seen this year. So one of the things that I liked, I'm going to check my notes for this one, because I'm I mean, okay. Well, there was a sequence that I liked, but I can't talk about it because it'll be spoilers. I thought it was very suspenseful. It was the only suspenseful sequence in the entire movie. Yeah. Let's see, what else? I'm at all my notes, and it's just all spoilers. Okay, I'll say that at the end of the movie, I felt a very sovereign feeling. I felt a very, I don't know, just kind of, this movie was kind of a Debbie Downer a little bit. And so I guess that's kind of good, because if you're making a movie about a possible civil war, it should be a downer. It should not be like a positive movie. But then again, there's a lot of parts in this movie where the characters are making jokes, and there's lots of comedy in this movie. And like even at the end, there's this moment that's framed as being very, very terrifying and powerful emotionally. But I almost was about to laugh, because I just felt it was so obvious and it was so predictable and cliche, and it didn't have the effect at all of what it was trying to go for. And I don't even know what it was trying to go for. I don't even know what this whole movie was trying to go for, because there's no clear hero. There's no clear villain. I mean, I guess you could say that the journalists are the heroes, but what are they doing this for? Like, they say in the movie throughout, like, there's all these people that are just at home pretending like nothing is happening. And so what are they even doing anything for, like, these journalists? Like, the journalists are the heroes in this movie, but like, there's just nothing. There's just nothing with, like, I guess you could just say they're protagonists. But there are no antagonists, except for, like, a couple of stragglers here and there. Like, there's no, like, you don't get any sense of, like, oh, these are the bad guys, and they're the bad ones. They are the ones who started this all in the first place. That's another thing. You don't even see, like, the inciting incident to the Civil War. Like, I thought, like, at least at the beginning of the movie, you'd have, like, a scene where America is completely normal, nothing bad has happened yet, except for all the shit that they do on a daily basis, which is terrible, pre-Civil War, and then the Civil War breaks out right then and there. And that would be like the opening of the movie. Because this guy, he made 28 Days Later. And 28 Days Later, it opens up with seeing the laboratory with those monkeys. And then the monkeys break out and kill everyone and turn them into zombies. And they show that that's how this zombie outbreak started. They show that. And in this movie, there's none of that at all. And you're just sitting there like, I don't even know what's going on. I don't care. There's like a road trip drama comedy going on and not much else. Let's see, what else? What else did I like? Because I just talked about something I didn't like. So some of the action was kind of good at some points when it made sense. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really trying here. I wouldn't. Okay. Here's my final positive thing. Because I feel bad. I feel like I'm bullying this movie, but this movie isn't a person. This movie is a movie. The one good thing, the last good thing that I'll say is that at the end of the movie, my immediate urge was that I wanted to watch it again. I think that that's a good thing, right? Like, that hasn't really been the case for many other movies this year so far, so I would say that, like, even though I was very mixed about it, there were a lot of, like, moments that I just really had, like, the movie gave me a lot of emotions, and, so, like, even if I didn't think that the writing was the greatest or that the movie was the greatest, there were moments where I felt something emotionally. Like, there was especially a moment, like, near the end where something big happens, and they have this very beautiful little sequence where they drive through this forest and everything. And I won't give anything away, but I did feel something with that part. But that was like the only part of the whole movie. Like, they had this really amazing little squirt of awesomeness in that part of the movie. And it just, I felt like I wanted to see that movie. Like, I just wanted the entire movie to be this suspenseful, like, just balls to the wall Civil War movie, and instead most of the movie's like a road trip comedy drama. And actually, I don't even know what I was going to say, but like, yeah. So, I think I'm going to give my food review, and then I'm going to go to spoilers, because I got some stuff to get off my chest. So for this, I would give this movie a bag of Jolly Ranchers. Jolly Ranchers, I really like Jolly Ranchers. Some of them, I really like the green apple flavor. I love the blue flavor. Of course, everyone loves blue. Whenever we got Jolly Ranchers in class, people always picked out the blue ones first. But at the same time, Jolly Ranchers aren't my favorite thing in the world, and I really don't like some of the flavors. Like, I hate grape. I really don't like cherry very much. Watermelon is, like, okay. And so, yeah. You know, those are the main flavors, and, green apple and blue I like, though. So, like, that's what this movie is, though. It's like a mixed bag. It's like a Jolly Rancher candy bag that I would get like once in a while, not just like once every couple of months, but like once every couple of years. And I'd take out the green apple and the blue, eat those, probably let Safi have the rest, and then she won't eat them, and they'll just be thrown in the trash before the ants get into them. And that's just me being honest. A lot of these A24 movies, they focus on style over substance. And they focus on, like... because for a lot of these movies, I think that the filmmakers who make them, they have good movies that they're able to make. Like, that they're able to make good movies, but for some reason, when it comes to A24, it's like they have so much freedom to just do what they want. So there's not really, like, anyone there to, like, tell them, like, no, you should put this in there, you should do this, you should do that. And so there's a lot of movies like Civil War where it's like, it feels like this could have been a great movie if it was really whittled down, like, in terms of the script, and in terms of, like, I don't know what the deal was with the lack of action, because it felt like the action was used so sparingly that it was almost like purposeful. Like, hey, we don't have much of a budget, so let's save our budget and just have a really insane action sequence at the end with a lot of shooting, a lot of just people going, rah, rah, go there, rah, yeah. You know, like, let's save all the action that we can muster for the very end, and for the rest of the movie we can have these bland characters talk to each other about nothing. And by nothing, I mean literally nothing. I mean, there's this one part, and okay, I'm going to get the spoilers. So yeah, anyways, this was a mixed bag of a movie. It wasn't the worst thing in the world. It wasn't the best. In terms of A24 movies, I'd put it, like, right in the middle. And so if you go to my Letterboxd, you can see that I've seen 14 A24 movies. And I put Civil War at number 7. So it's, like, right there in the middle. Yeah. So now for spoilers. Just what I've been waiting for. Kirsten. I mean, wow. Kirsten Dunst's character. Jeez. I mean, the guy who made this movie, he did an interview where he said that he wants, journalists are really important. He wants people to like journalists. But I don't like these characters at all. Like, Kirsten Dunst, the entire movie, it's like she's like a robot person. It's like, you know how they made that Fallout show for Amazon, which was probably going to suck? Well, it's like Kirsten Dunst could have easily been like a humanoid robot character, like an android. You know where I would really like to see Kirsten Dunst? In a Neil Breen movie. Like, just imagine you got Neil Breen, and he's like, "Hey, I'm Neil Breen. I am a robot guy. How are you doing, Kirsten?" And then you could have her stand there and make the same face that she made this entire movie, and she could be like, "Hello, Neil. I am doing good. I am still upset I didn't get paid as much as Toby in Spider-Man." And Neil Breen will be like, "I am not surprised. The system is corrupt." That's what that movie would be. It'd be pretty hot. It'd be pretty funny. It'd be pretty crazy. So... here, let's get to my notes. This is getting fucked up already. There's lots of cutting away in this movie and like really confusing things where I was like, okay, what actually happened there? Like, I guess I get what happened a little bit, but they just cut away so fast that it meant nothing to me. So there's this one part where they go to the gas station and Kirsten negotiates. She says, "I'll give you a BJ if you give me all the gas you got." No, she doesn't do that. She says, "I'll give you this amount of money. I'll give you this amount of money if you give me this amount of gas." And I guess they come to an agreement, but it's like really unclear because we never see them actually get the gas. Instead, the littler girl, that's what I just call her. I mean, her character's name is Jessie, but like these aren't characters. These are trash. So she gets out of the car like randomly. Like, you got these, like, really tough guys at this gas station. They're guarding it like it's their life. Like, it's just everything. Like, they got fucking, I don't know, they got the gold briefcase from Pulp Fiction in that bitch. And she's like, "I saw something in it, so I'm just gonna go explore it and see what goes on." And they let her go, even though it's gonna take, like, 2 seconds to get the gas. And then for some reason, one of the guys guarding the gas station, he follows her. And then for some reason, Kirsten Dunst is like, "Okay, we're done. We've agreed to something, I guess." And then she follows them. And it's this really, like, weird sequence where they're just, like, walking for 10 minutes down to this little area. And I wasn't sure. I thought at first, like, is the guy from the gas station going to try to rape her or kill her or mug her or something, and then they try to kill everyone else over at the front of the station? Like, what's going to go on here? But then they stop at this little, I don't know what it was. It was like I don't know. It was like this little area where they had these two dudes hung up, and apparently they were looters. And the gas station bad guy was like, "We're either going to kill them or we're going to torture them some more. I don't know. You get to make the choice." And they don't respond, and they just kind of stand there. And then all of a sudden, Kirsten is like, "I'd like to take a picture of you." And, like, it's just so random and out of nowhere. Like, "I'd like to take a picture of you." And then she has the guy pose with the dead bodies, I guess, but they cut away. And then they imply that the bad guys killed both people hanging up. So it's like they did this really weird cutaway, and they really didn't explain what went on. It was very bizarre. And then there was this sequence where they saw this area where it was very quiet. It was so quiet and desolate that it was suspicious. There was something going on. It was like this Winterland display thing that was there. So I guess when the Civil War broke out, it was during the Christmas time. So I guess like after an election, maybe like a little bit after that. And it's kind of like obvious, like to the viewer, that these people should just turn around and go back and go somewhere else. But instead of doing that, the driver is like, "Let's just drive a little bit." Like, just, it's like, oh, we know that this house has Michael Myers in it. Let's just take a couple of steps into the house and see what happens. And so they drive forward a little bit, and then boom, 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 and they're like, oh shit, like they didn't expect that. Like, it was so funny. It was like, what the fuck did they think was gonna happen? Like, I could have told you that was gonna fucking happen 5 fucking minutes ago, you fuck. And so then he just drives off and crashes into this other car. They get out, and then they hang out with these other soldiers who are gonna try and kill this sniper. And then it takes them like 10 minutes, and we have a little bit of like a conversation that goes on for like some plot convenience information. And yeah, well, I mean, it's just like, I don't know, this movie fucked me up. I'm just fucked up after watching this fucking movie. But then all of a sudden, after like 10 minutes of just sitting there, there's one shot from the soldier on the ground, and apparently he was able to kill the sniper because he says, good news, guys, as if, like, I guess he killed him. But that was trash. Like, you know, you guys remember Full Metal Jacket with that whole sniper sequence at the end? Like, that was fucking intense. That was scary. It was emotional. It was impactful. It was terrifying. And it was actually surprising, too, because then you saw who the sniper was. And it was just like this woman, this little woman. And she was this fucking deadly sniper just killing all these soldiers. And, like, you just compare that sequence to this sequence, and it's like there's a clear quality difference in terms of these two movies. And in terms of these two war movies, as you call this one. And then there's another weird sequence where all of a sudden there's a car following their car. And all of a sudden it speeds up, and oh, surprise, it's actually a couple of friends of one of the journalists. And then they do something really weird where one of the friends, he jumps into their car, and then the littler girl is like, hey, I'd like to try that too. I've never heard of stranger danger before. And so she jumps into his car, and all of a sudden, that car drives off and disappears. And it's like, oh, she's dead. Or she's being fucked up somewhere. And it's like, that was really silly. Like, oh, just because that guy knew those journalists doesn't mean that this stupid girl should jump into their car as if she's never heard of stranger danger before. I mean, that was really, really bizarre. But they end up finding out that they are being held hostage by these two bad guys, I guess. I guess they're bad guys. I don't know. They're never... There's nothing about them that's identifiable except Jesse Plemons. He's got red glasses on. So I guess maybe that implies something, that maybe he's a Trump supporter. I don't know, because he's got the red glasses. Like, I literally don't fucking know. And, yeah. And so, I will say this. This is the best sequence of the whole movie. There's this sequence where it's just Jesse Plemons and, they're basically, like, dumping all these bodies into this mass grave when the journalists come upon them, and they don't really know what to do, and so the main character, Kirsten Dunst, she's like, okay, let's just go up there and talk to these people, even though they're, like, putting all these people in this mass grave. It's like, yeah, that's the smart thing to do, because the little girl was so stupid that she had to have some fun, some harmless fun in the middle of a civil war, and just jump into a stranger's car. And so, like, they have this little back and forth, and it's really, really intense, I gotta say. Like, this was my favorite part of the movie. I thought it was really, really good just for, like, the 10 minutes where this took place. And they actually conveniently kill both of the other journalists. But they don't kill any of the main characters, except for when they're driving away. They manage to shoot the driver, and then he dies. And so that was the part where I thought, You know what? This should have been the whole movie, because this part was really intense. It was really well written. But at the same time, it's still kind of weird because I just don't know who these characters are. I mean, the Jesse Plemons character, he's obsessed with, like, asking, like, what kind of American are you? Like, where did you come from? And so I guess he's supposed to be, like, a racist or something, because then we see the grave, and it's mostly, like, it looks like mostly immigrants that are in there. And so I'm really not sure, though, because the movie doesn't tell you at all. And honestly, I would have preferred, like, a hardcore feminazi, like, Civil War movie where there were clear sides and where we knew who was who were the good guys, who were the bad guys, because just being there here in limbo land where we don't know anything, it's like, it's really kind of irritating, because that's just not good. You know, like, you wouldn't watch an Avengers movie where Iron Man and Captain America are fighting, like, some random villain that you don't even know who they are. You'd watch one where they're fighting a villain. Like, the villain characters are just as important as the hero characters. So, yeah. Anyways, after that happens, the little girl, she pukes on herself. And so I thought the Saska sisters are definitely going to like this movie. They're gonna get turned on when they see that. And at the end, they have this... It all turns into the final sequence, which is the journalists apparently are on the side of these rebels. And they are going into the White House to get the president and kill him. And kill everyone in there. And the journalists are on these guys' side. So apparently, I guess the president was the bad guy all along in this movie. It's news to me, because, I mean, for these guys being such good journalists, they never told me what was going on. Like, there were a couple of points where they just give out, like, little pieces of information, but there was never a point where the journalists, like, really walked me through what was going on with this country. Another thing that they do a lot of the times in this movie is that characters take pictures, and you get little breaks in the action and see these black and white pictures. And there's literally not a single picture in the entire movie that was impactful to me. So that's another problem, because I feel like I don't know what that was. Like, I don't know, like, why they did that, because a lot of these shots that they took, they were just shots that you already saw in the video. You know, you didn't need to see still pictures of them. Yeah. I think about photography movies, too, like that one with Johnny Depp that was really good, Minamata. You know, those were real pictures, though, so maybe the director of this movie, he just doesn't have the eye for photography or anything, but maybe he should have consulted with somebody who did, or somebody who does. You know, like, that could have been effective, I guess. Like, to have pictures that are strung in there throughout the action to kind of make you see, like, oh, this is what you'd see in the magazines and newspapers in post-apocalyptic America. But this is where the movie really loses its sense of realism. Because there's these two black cars that come out, and these idiotic rebels think that the president is going to be in one of these cars, and that, you know, they'd actually, like, drive right into the action. Fucking stupid. And the journalists are the ones who are like, no, the president is probably still in the White House, duh. And so the journalists go in there first, and so that was really odd. That didn't make sense at all. But it also didn't make sense of, like, why is the president still holed up in the White House if he knew days in advance that he knew people were coming for him? You know? And then at the very, very end, Kirsten Dunst's character gets killed. It's pretty unimpactful because I really didn't care much about her character. It's basically just for the point of like the main littler girl. Seeing that changes her, and then she takes the picture of Kirsten as she's getting killed, and then the final thing is her taking a picture of the president getting killed, and but they did this weird thing at the end too, where they kind of made the rebels look like the good guys. Like at the very end, where one of the journalists, he comes up to the president and he says something. And now I would really appreciate someone telling me what he said, because I literally didn't understand what he was saying. Like at the very end, like the president says, "Please don't let them kill me," and he says two things, and I couldn't tell what he said like at all. And obviously, there's no subtitles. It's a fucking movie theater, and so that was really weird. So that didn't really help, but it felt like kind of like he was gloating that those bad guys were about to kill him. So this journalist was like gloating that these two or three like bad guys were going to shoot the president in this movie. And then the ending shot is just the girl's picture with the president, and he's dead. Yeah. So yeah, this movie was a big mixed bag. It was a big disappointment for me. I would watch it again, but probably not anymore after that. It's been really hard this year because, like, there's not been a single movie where I can say, like, yeah, that was a good movie. Like, I liked Kung Fu Panda 4. I liked Damsel. I kind of like this movie. But I just can't say that, like, they're good, even. Like, I just can't. I'd have to say, like, this year so far has been a pretty poor year for movies. It's basically just a bunch of reboots and sequels and bullshit anyways. So yeah, please like this video and comment. I know that I had a tough time with this review because it's just, I've been really sick and I've been trying to get over it, but I'm still going to power through and keep on doing reviews all the time. Yeah. It's been pretty tough, because, I could have gotten medicine, but the pharmacy stopped carrying it by the time I decided to go get it, and so I had to go, like, rush out because I was so ill. I had to go rush out somewhere and immediately get a prescription for medication, and so I've just been kind of out of it, too, and just watching these movies and, like, going, like, ugh, these movies are not helping, that's for sure. Seeing Civil War did not help me any. So yeah, please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest movie reviews. So yeah, goodbye everybody. See you soon.